Please, chief imam, please find a place to sit. Please, may I inform you all that as soon as the Vice Chancellor of Procession enters into this hall, let us all rise and remain standing. Please shall we take the national anthem and AAUA anthem. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure on behalf of the Vice Chancellor to welcome you all to the 39th Inaugural Lecture of this university. If this is your first time of coming to this university, we want to welcome you to a leadership development university where we build competent, confident graduates. Once again, you're welcome to the Abiola University. Today's inaugural lecture is titled The Chemistry Bit, Harnessing BENIGN Reactions for Water Purification. And I'm glad to tell you all that the lecture is going to be delivered by a professor of environmental chemistry. There's no other person than Professor Nurudeen Abiola, Oladoja. Professor Oladoja is the 10th professor from the Faculty of Science to deliver an inaugural lecture in this hall. Please let's put a hand together for him. I also want to say that is not all. He's the 24th professor to deliver an inaugural lecture in the series of our current Vice Chancellor. Please put our hands together for distinguished principal officers, deans, professors, rectors, HODs and HOUs, staff of this university, our dear students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Once again, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I warmly welcome you all to the 39th inaugural lecture of this university. Without wasting much of your time, let me invite the chairman of this occasion, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Oladoja, to the microphone as he presents the tuxedo, the inaugural lecturer. Let's stand there.
Thank you. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, Bosa, University Liberia, the Deans of Faculties, Directors, Heads of Departments and Units, English professors, the inaugural lecturer, distinguished professor of environmental chemistry, Professor Oladoja. ABCs, they are present. Imam and Chief Imams, they are present. The relations of the inaugural lecturer, distinguished guests, staff of Abiola University, greatest Nigeria students, of the greatest Nigeria students, Kulu. Thank you. Today marks another milestone in the intellectual journey of Abiola University, as we convey for the 39th inaugural lecture. The hallmark of academic distinction and a testament to our institution's unwavering dedication to advancing knowledge for societal good. To our distinguished guests, colleagues and students, I extend my profound gratitude for your presence at this gathering, where scholarship meets purpose. and ideas transcend the confines of theory to address humanity's present challenges. This lecture series has not served as a beacon of intellectual rigor, bringing the gap between academia and the real-world issues that define our era. It is a forum where seasoned scholars distill decades of inquiry into actionable insights, inspiring their peers and future generations to pursue solutions with courage and creativity. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to this noble tradition by honoring a scholar whose work exemplifies transformative power of science in the service of humanity. We celebrate Professor Nurudeen, Oladoja, an eminent scholar and global authority in environmental chemistry. His academic journey and pioneering contributions have not only elevated the stature of this university, but have also resonated across the global scientific landscape, offering innovative solutions to some of the most pressing environmental challenges of our time. The theme of today's lecture, the chemistry bit, harnessing environmentally benign reactions for water purification, would not be more timely or consequential. The time when access to clean water remains a critical global imperative. Professor Oladoja's research stands as the beacon of hope, the fusion of scientific ingenuity and environmental stewardship that aligns seamlessly with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. His work epitomizes the profound societal impact of applied science when driven by vision and purpose. Professor Oladoja's academic course began with a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry from the University of Lagos in 1991. His quest for knowledge led him to the University of Benin, where he had a Master of Science in Industrial Chemistry in 1994 and a Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry in 2003. Round of applause for him. The most difficult thing in life is to have the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. When somebody has it, please give him or her a round of applause. Joining Abiola University in 2007 as a lecturer 1 in the Department of Chemistry, he ascended to the rank of Professor of Environmental Chemistry in 2015. Another round of applause. I should not be reminding you when That's coming to intellectual rigor and dedication. His academic leadership is reflected in his mentorship of 12 completed and 3 ongoing MSc dissertations, as well as 3 completed and 4 ongoing PhD candidates. Thank you. That is beautiful. With 117 seminal scientific publications, to his credit, his scholarship continues to shape discourse in environmental science. Beyond the classrooms and laboratory, Professor Oladoja has served with distinction in key administrative roles, including head of the Department of Chemistry and his current position as Dean of the Faculty of Science. global influence is further underscored by the prestigious appointments as a PIFI visiting professor at the Chinese Academy of Science in Beijing 2019 to 2020. Visiting professor at the Technical University of Munich, Germany 2013 to 2015. And visiting research scientist at universities in Malaysia 2011. His illustrious career is adorned with accolades such as the Alexander von Humboldt Research Fellowship, awarded 4 times between 2012 and 2023. The Chinese Academy of Sciences Presidential Fellowship 2019 to 2020. And grants from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund 2012 to 2022. And Cambridge Africa and Brother Research Fund 2018 to 2019. Just recently, in 2024, his global standing was cemented when he was ranked among the 2% of scientists worldwide by the Stanford Sophia World Scientist Ranking. An honor that speaks volumes about the reach and relevance of his work. Ladies and gentlemen, today's lecture is a celebration of a lifetime devoted to inquiry, innovation, and impact. Professor Oladoja's unwavering commitment to environmental sustainability, capacity building, and knowledge dissemination serves as an inspiration to all of us. In conclusion, let us not only celebrate Professor Nurudeen Oladoja's monumental achievements today, but also recognize the profound responsibility we share as custodians of knowledge and agents of change. His life's work, symphony of curiosity, perseverance, and innovation, reminds us that science is not merely a discipline, but a vocation to serve humanity. As we depart from this hall very soon, let us carry forward the insights gleaned here, transforming them into actionable steps towards a world where clean water is no longer a privilege, but a universal right. Professor Oladoja, legacy is not just in the equations you have solved or the papers you have penned, but in the lives, the work we uplift for generations to come. Today's discourse acts as a clarion call, guiding within each of us a steadfast resolve to champion excellence, foster collaboration, and advance tireless quest for a sustainable tomorrow. Gratitude for your esteemed presence, ladies and gentlemen. Now I invite you to join me in welcoming a lecture poised to illuminate minds, provoke introspection, galvanize collective action. Thank you very much.
The 10th in the Faculty of Science and the 2nd in the Department of Chemical Sciences. The desire to chart a career in the academia was precipitated during my undergraduate days at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. I was opportune to be tutored by scholars with enviable research records, who usually give snippets of their expertise in foreign laboratories that are culminated in area of research breakthroughs. At the completion of my BSc degree program in chemistry, I had no doubt on my career path, but the choice of specific research focus in the broad field of chemistry. I was strongly disposed to organic synthesis because of the admiration I had for two great synthesis scholars, Professor G.D. Alo and late Professor Nishu Mori, Department of Chemistry, University of Lagos. Forensic chemistry was also in contention because of the fantasies derived from the work of visions that I passionately read. Considering the unusual delay in my postgraduate admission for the MSc Organic Chemistry at the University of Ibadan, due to the long lasting strike of 1992-93, my uncle, late Dr. Olive Ayuakelabi, Allah forgive his mistakes, Department of Optometry, University of Benin, facilitated my admission with that of my cousin, Professor Akinolake Akelabi, seated here, to the University of Benin, Nigeria. At the University of Benin, I studied MSc Industrial Chemistry. My interest in environmental chemistry was kindled by Professor C.M.A. Ademoroti, an Imperial College trained environmental chemist of repute. He introduced our class to environmental chemistry as a course of study and the opportunities that abound in the field. He proudly shared the findings from his long-term researches and how he unraveled knotty local, national, and international issues with his research projects. He also regaled us with his work experience at Shell, where he was a sabbatical staff, which enabled me to appreciate the high social impact of this field of study. Premised on my earlier resolution to chart a career in academia, continue with a PhD research program was not debatable, despite the turmoil in the country at the period of completion of the MSc degree program in the year 1994. Considering the broad mode of the MSc program at the University of Benin, switching between specialties was not an issue. Conducting a PhD research under the tutelage of Professor Ademoroti seemed a feat accomplished, despite all efforts to avoid crossing his path. Professor Ademoroti reminded me of my father's unwavering stance on commitment to excellence, which made him to be very critical of my conduct and attitude. I considered his disciplinarian posture as an infringement on my freedom as a youngster with high energy and fantasies, and did not want a father as a supervisor. He insisted on supervising my PhD thesis, despite the fact that I had already approached and pledged my commitment to another environmental chemist in the department. Everyone that has had the fortune of encountering Professor Ademoroti can testify to his fixation on excellence. Half measure has no place in his dictionary. His painstaking efforts on research aptitude and diligence metamorphosed into the bedrock of my research foundation. The appropriate technology concept. The concept of appropriate technology varies between fields and applications, but it is generally recognized as an encompassing technological choice and application that is small-scale, decentralized, labor-intensive, energy-efficient, eco-friendly, locally controlled, and people-centered. Appropriate technology has been widely applied in water treatment operation at community scale and household scale point of use designs. Some appropriate technologies that have been used in water supply measures and treatment are shown in figure 1, which include deep wells with submersible pumps and rainwater harvesting system with appropriate storage method. Benign chemistry. Benign chemistry or chemical chemistry for sustainability is generally known as green chemistry. It is an emerging field of chemistry that deals with the design of chemical products and processes that reduce or eliminate the use and generation of hazardous substances and, where possible, utilize renewable raw materials. It is concerned with the use of chemistry for improved environmental performance and primary pollution prevention instead of remediation. Thus far, the use of benign chemistry has proven that fundamental scientific methodologies can be developed and deployed for a safer public health and sustainable environment in an economically beneficial manner. charting my research course. I was inducted into the less charted track of appropriate technology for water and wastewater treatment by my PhD supervisor, Professor T.M. Ademoroti. Thus, my PhD research focused on development of a decentralized on-site water and wastewater treatment system using locally sourced clay minerals fortified with gravel pebbles. My postdoctoral and professorial research expeditions remain on the same route with 3 stable traits. 1. Environmental interfacial chemistry, which entails the use of the principles of surface and colloid chemistry to develop material substitutes for water and wastewater treatment technologies whose operations aim on the principles of adsorption and coagulation flocculation. 2. Aquatic ecological engineering, which involves the management of nutrient cycling in water bodies and the use of the principle of geoengineering for the restoration of polluted water bodies. 3. Resource recovery from wastewater. This is based on the principles of circular economy, which focus on transiting from the old model that perceives wastewater as a burden to the new sanitation model that sees it as a valuable resource. My research expedition. A. Development of decentralized water and wastewater treatment system. Conventionally, domestic wastewater is managed using the septic tank, which we all have at the back of our houses. It is called soak-away, which is a treatment system that is used in conjunction with the soakage system. This treatment system also serves as primary treatment devices at small sewage treatment plants. Studies have shown that effluent from septic tanks are high in suspended solid, biochemical oxygen demand, total bacteria, nitrate, and phosphate. Therefore, the need for the development of more effective septic tank treatment system has been advocated. The picture shows the photograph image shown in figure 2 is an example of domestic water treatment system we all have at the back of our houses. Gravity percolation of wastewater through a percolator material is a common on-site wastewater treatment technology, and during the transit through the percolator, the wastewater is purified by physicochemical and biological processes. Varieties of materials, e.g. sand, loam, and peat, have been used as percolators in on-site treatment system, but the use of clay as percolator material is restricted by the poor permeability. Therefore, we designed an on-site wastewater treatment system using different fortified clay with stone pebbles to enhance the permeability. For the treatment of wastewater collected from households, Oladoja and 2006, and industries, Oladoja et al. 2006A, 2006B, and Oladoja and Asia 2005. The studies show that fortified soil clays have high potential as on-site system for wastewater purification, and the performance efficiencies were highly dependent on the clay meteorology. The spectral rich clay showed better purification potential than illite, which was also better than kaolinite. The fluid flow was the best in kaolinite rich system than illite, and the poorest was spectral. The fortification with the gravel pebbles did not only enhance the fluid flow, but the pebbles also provided an inert surface for microbial growth and attachment for the wastewater purification. As a contributor to the development of adsorption-based decentralized water and wastewater treatment system, we investigated the use of polysaccharide-based material as substitute to the conventional adsorbent. Polysaccharide-based materials, examples are shown in figure 3 on the screen, are considered veritable substitute to the conventional adsorbent because they possess the desirable surface chemistry and structural features. They contain abundance of surface polar functional groups such as aldehydes, ketones, acids, and phenolics required to promote chemical interactions with array of pollutants that exhibit different chemistries in the aqueous phase. Oladoja et al. 2017. In different studies, the hard fibrovascular network of the fruit of Luva cylindrica, Oladoja et al. 2009A, saponified palm kernel seed coat, Oladoja et al. 2008 and 2009 B and C, and rubber seed shell, Oladoja et al. 2008, were studied as adsorbents for the treatment of highly colored textile wastewater. using methylene blue and Congo red as the modern basic and acid dye respectively. The pollutant removal efficiencies of these absorbents were high, greater than 90%, and comparable with the other absorbent substitutes that have been studied for the same purpose. Concerns regarding the regeneration of absorbents and the management of spent absorbents have been alleviated by the reality that these absorbents are derived from waste material and come at little or no cost. Consequently, the use of absorbents can find application in the developing world. Remote sites in use for only short periods of the year, farm settlement and cottage industry for wastewater treatment. B. Preparation of materials for point-of-use technologies. The focus of the Sustainable Development Goal SDG 6.1 by the UN General Assembly in 2015 is unfettered access to safe and low-cost potable water for all by the year 2030. As a contribution to the attainment of this goal, we aimed at mitigating the challenges of contaminated drinking water through the development of reactive filter material for the point of use or point of entry filtration system, as shown. Examples are shown in Figure 4 as displayed on the screen. Among the commonly used point of use water treatment system is the water filter, which uses a reactive phase as the filter material. Oladoja et al. 2023. In this system, the filter material enables a rapid and effective capture of undesirable contaminants from the aqueous phase. In drinking water filtration technologies, the conventional absorbents have been the gold standard. Unfortunately, these absorbents were not tailored to capture the emerging and emergent pollutants. Therefore, efficacious and inexpensive reactive filter material substitutes prepared from reactive and non-toxic materials for capturing groundwater pollutants forms part of my research focus phase. Groundwater defluoridation. Fluoride is one of the common consequences of groundwater, and the present at certain concentration, that is less than 1.5 milligram per liter, is desirable as it prevents dental caries. That is why it is recommended that it should be included in toothpaste formulation. At about certain concentrations, that is concentration greater than 1.5 milligram per liter, it is undesirable because it causes mottling of teeth, skeletal fluorosis, and crippling fluorosis, especially when it is above 10 milligram per liter. Oladoja and Emmerich 2014. The possible effects of consuming water with inadequate or high fluoride concentration are shown in Figure 5 in the screen. Consequent upon the overdependence on groundwater as a drinking water resource in the developing world and the negative impact of fluoride, strategic efforts are now focused on the development of simple and low-cost functional reactive filter materials that can effectively capture fluoride from the aqua stream. We observe that despite the desirable official features of metal oxides for fluoride capture, they exist as fine particles, which makes it difficult to use in a continuous flow system. Therefore, we posited that doping the particulate oxides within the traditional adsorbent of metal particles will combine the excellent handling and flow characteristics of the adsorbent supports with the specific affinity of the metal oxides towards the targeted pollutants. In order to produce an appropriate groundwater defluoridation filtration system, suitable procedures were developed to produce, characterize, and evaluate the defluoridation efficiencies of the following filter materials. Aluminum infused commission F composite, Oladoja and Emmerich 2014 and 2015. Granular mercury supported nano-magnesium oxide, Oladoja et al. 2015, 2016 and 2017. Granular anionic clay composite, Oladoja et al. 2016A. Calcium aluminate diatomaceous X composite, Oladoja et al. 2016. Calcium diaphorous shell, Oladoja et al. 2016C. Lateritic soil, Oladoja et al. 2019A. Lateritic soil and diaphorous shell composite, Oladoja et al. 2019B. The defluoridation efficiencies of these filter materials were evaluated in a batch and column reactor. The influence of process variables was optimized. The underlying reaction mechanisms were deciphered and the real-life applications were simulated and evaluated. Since the presence of oxides on carbon surfaces enhances the absorption capacity for also analyzed, we hypothesized that enhancing the oxygen-containing functional group on a charcoal surface will boost the capacity for groundwater dechlorination. Oladoja et al. 2023. This hypothesis was validated through the modification of the surface of locally salt charcoal with Piranga solution, and the potential for groundwater dechlorination was evaluated. The modification procedure created a carbon surface with enhanced dechlorination efficiency, which was attributed to the increase in the sufficient atomic concentration of oxygen-containing functional groups. Chromium-6 removal from groundwater. Chromium gets in the water bodies via the discharge of a variety of industrial wastewater. For example, electroplating, leather tanning, chromite beneficiation, fertilizer, etc. It exists in several valence states, of which the trivalent and hexavalent form are the most common. Chromium-6 is highly toxic, and the toxicity of chromium-6 to man is shown in figure C on the screen. It is mobile and special in environmental media in the form of dichromate, hydrogen chromate or chromate. Chromium-3 is less toxic than chromium-6 and nearly insoluble at neutral pH. Thus, the World Health Organization stipulated that 0.05 mg per liter total chromium is permissible in drinking water, while the other regulatory bodies permitted 0.01 mg per liter. Among the water treatment methods for capturing chromium-6, absorption-based technology is considered robust, cheap, compact, and capable of fitting into the conventional water treatment technology. Oladoja 2015. Thus, different materials such as nanocrystalline alkaline earth oxide, Oladoja et al. 2012A and 2012B, Seria clay composite, Antoni et al. 2021, ion incorporated rice silica, Oladoja et al. 2013 have been prepared, characterized, and investigated in our laboratory as reactive filter material for the removal of chromium-6 from groundwater. Although absorption-based strategies offer inherent advantages for the treatment of drinking water contaminated with ozone, these strategies only involve pollutant-based transfer and not the transformation to an innocuous state. Therefore, the requirement for an after-treatment procedure to manage the hazardous pollutant-laden absorbent further complicate the process of using absorption-based approach for water and wastewater treatment. Oladoja et al. 2023A. In order to address this challenge, we formulated a green bifunctional zinc oxide composite for the simultaneous absorption and photoreduction of chromium-6 to chromium-3. Oladoja et al. 2023A. The composites were characterized and both the absorption and photocatalytic features were studied separately in synthetic field water and groundwater contaminated with chromium-6. The contribution of absorption to the chromium-6 attenuation capacity of the synthesized material was significant, and the synergistic effect of both photoredox reaction and absorption underlie the process of chromium-6 removal. Taking into cognizance the similarities in the elemental and surface chemistry of charcoal and activated carbon, we posited that both the superficial and textural properties of charcoal can be tweaked to produce a redox active adsorbent for concurrent sequestration and reduction of chromium-6 to chromium-3 in groundwater. Oladoja et al. 2024. In order to validate our proposition, charcoal was modified with acid Piranga solution, and the potential as a redox active adsorbent was evaluated in batch and piece-based reactor. The modification tinkered with the smooth surface of the charcoal to produce a rough surface with improved pores, edges, and crevices, which enhanced the superficial activity and boosted the magnitude of electron donor moieties that is required for the direct conversion of chromium-6 to chromium-3. The performance efficiency of the adsorbent in the treatment of groundwater spike with chromium-6 in a column reactor was high, which is considered a demonstration of good field application potential of the adsorbent. Coagulation flocculation. Coagulation flocculation is a wastewater purification process that is commonly practiced at both the municipal and household levels. It removes soluble, colloidal, and suspended particles through induced aggregation of both micro and macro particulates, followed by sedimentation as illustrated in figure 7. The conventional chemical coagulants used include alum, ferric chloride, ferric sulfate, polyaluminium chloride, and synthetic organic polymers in coagulation flocculation operation. Coagulant aids are used to enhance the performance efficiency of the primary coagulant and to reduce the process economy. Premised on the operational requirements which dictate the nature of the coagulant aids to be used. Activated silica, weighting agent, and polyelectrolyte are the commonly used coagulant aids. In the treatment of wastewater with low alkalinity, for example, acid mine drainage or sulfuric acid plant effluent, the use of primary coagulant alone is ineffective. Since the pH of the medium is too low to effect rapid flocculation of the colloidal particles, addition of slate lime as coagulant aid furnishes necessary alkalinity, which provide the much needed effect. Oladoja and Nurudeen 2008. Lime is an undesirable coagulant aid because of the challenges associated with the sludge produced. Thus, there is need to improve on the process efficiency, safety, and economy, which necessitated the use of the alkali-rich water extract of plantain peel, Oladoja and Nurudeen 2008, and cacao husk ashes, Oladoja 2015, as coagulant aid in the treatment of water with low alkalinity. The use of iron-rich materials and their derivatives for metal ion abstraction from aqua stream have been affirmed, and the efficiency was ascribed to the abundance of polyhydroxy polyphenol functional group on tannin. Despite the affirmed efficacy of the tannin-rich materials, the discoloration of the aqua medium by soluble phenol became a snag in its acceptability as a functional material for metal ion capture. In order to avoid this snag, we combined the use of tannin extracted from walnut shell with alum for the concurrent removal of metal ions and the color imparted from soluble phenol. Oladoja 2011. As a contributor to the development of effective green, eco-friendly, and sustainable indigenous solution to a global drinking water challenge, the water extract of the fresh seed of Margaritaria discovery, which is shown in figure 8, was ascribed and used as a primary coagulant in commodity removal from aqua system. Oladoja 2017. The active ingredient in the extract was found to be galactomana, which chemical structure is shown in figure 8. A water-soluble non-ionic hydrocolloidal polysaccharide. D. Resource recovery from wastewater. The concept of resource recovery has provided a paradigm shift in wastewater perception, and rather than seeing it as a disposable body, it is now considered a valuable resource that can add to the inventory of available opportunities for humanity. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, an overview of our research efforts on the concept of resource recovery from wastewater are presented below. A. Nutrient recovery from wastewater. The United Nations Environment Programme has discovered that pollution emanating from nutrient-rich wastewater discharge is one of the biggest environmental challenges of the 21st century. Thus, the concept of nutrient recovery and reuse has been promoted through the development of innovative technologies. Rural intensive industries, for instance, abattoirs, piggeries, chicken farms, canneries, wood squares, feedlots, dairy farms, and related industries have produced large quantities of effluent that contains valuable nutrients. These rich nutrient constituents of the wastewater can be captured, recovered, and reused to improve soil fertility. In tandem with the quest for the development of sustainable strategies for the recovery of phosphorus from phosphorus-rich aqua waste streams, the share of African landscape, Acatina, as shown in figure 9, was investigated as a reactive material for phosphate recovery from phosphorus-rich aqueous solution. The potentials of the shell and its derivative, Oladoja 2012 Z, and Oladoja 2015, were evaluated in batch Oladoja 2012A and B and column reactor Oladoja 2014. Sequel to the promising findings from the use of gastropod shell for phosphate recovery, the field application was tested using two nutrient-rich wastewater samples, that is aquaculture wastewater and yellow water, which is known as urine or urine. Raw gastropod shell was used as the reactive material in the column reactor to develop a double-pronged approach to capture and recover phosphorus from aquaculture wastewater for the use as fertilizer, soil conditioner, and for the remediation of aquaculture wastewater for safe production. 2015. The potential of gastropod shell for phosphorus recovery in aquaculture wastewater was optimized via thermal treatment. Oladoja 2016. The study showed that phosphorus recovery ability of gastropod shell can be boosted significantly via thermal treatment at 70-50 degrees Celsius. Oladoja 2016. The higher phosphorus recovery ability at this temperature was ascribed to the enhanced defects in the superficial physiognomies, which contradicted the claim that the conversion of calcium carbonate to calcium oxide was the reason for the higher phosphorus recovery efficiency. In addition to the phosphorus capture, substantial amount of total nitrogen was also removed, and the process produced water with significant improvement in the overall physicochemical characteristics. In order to promote the sustainability of the aquaculture operation through minimal water consumption and improved environmental sanitation, a simple and low-cost double-pronged approach dubbed zero waste discharge system was developed. Oladoja 2025. This approach offers advantages in terms of reduced water consumption, improved opportunities for waste management, nutrient cycling, and improved farm aesthetics. In this system, the synergistic effect of the combination of the primary coagulant, that is moringa oleifera and chitin, and a coagulant aid, that's normally treated shell of the gastropod, were deployed for the aquaculture wastewater treatment preparation and nutrient recovery. In domestic wastewater, yellow water, that is urine, contributes 50 to 80% of the phosphorus concentration and 75% of the nitrogen concentration excreted in the form of urea. Considering the peculiarity of yellow water in terms of ethical, cultural, and human perception of anti-human urine, we posited that a decentralized procedure is expedient to enable the acceptability of this emerging concept of nutrient recovery. Anyway, 2020. Therefore, a modular reactor that contains granular fixed bed of gastropod shell was prepared as a decentralized system for nutrient recovery from human urine, and the operational parameters were derived. The mineralogical and elemental characteristic of the recovered nutrient showed that it is a nutrient-laden calcium-rich material, and the presence of array of calcium phosphate mineral phases such as apatite, whitlockite, and calcium phosphate hydrate were affirmed. Using NPK as the standard fertilizer and a non-fertilized soil as the control, the fertilizing potential of the recovered nutrient from human urine on maize and tomato growth and the safety risk of the recovered nutrient were evaluated. The growth rate of the recovered nutrient crops were lower than that of the NPK crops until the 17th day, when the recovered crops grew faster than that of the NPK and control, as shown in figure 10+ on the screen. The recovered nutrient is beneficial to acidic soils and also acts as a slow nutrient releasing fertilizer. Microalgae biomass harvesting. Microalgae bloom, which is illustrated in figure 11a, is one of the consequences of the unfettered nutrient discharge into water bodies. Therefore, sustainable social campaign is being made for the utilization of the biomass for the production of biofertilizer, animal feed, biofuel foodstuff, and in functional food. Some of the products produced from microalgae biomass are shown in figure 11B and 11C. Due to this important application, the harvesting procedure now receives concerted attention because the overall process economy is highly dependent on the harvesting procedure. Microalgae cells are microscopic. The size range between 5 and 50 micrometers and negatively charged. Thereby, cell agglomeration is highly inhibited. Inducing the agglomeration of such microscopic and highly dispersed cells requires intensive energy and capital. The coagulation fluctuation process is considered to be the most convenient, effective, and cheap method of microalgae harvesting because it is simple, fast, and little or no energy is required for the operation. The snap with the procedure is the equivalent high cost, toxicity to the algal biomass, and the generation of large volume of contaminated and non-recyclable culture medium. Thus, a sustainable harvesting procedure should have broad applications, high biomass harvesting, low process economy, minimal energy requirement, and operational simplicity. Since it has been identified that the cost of coagulant represents an appreciable amount in the overall process economy, between 4 and 7%. Exploring the naturally available coagulant option is now in focus. In order to leverage on the benefits of the coagulation population, we carried out a systematic evaluation of the share of African land slave for the harvesting of a marine algae biomass, Florida Bulgaris, Oladoja et al. 2020A. The coagulant derived from the shell was highly efficient, and swift coagulation was affirmed as the underlying mechanism. Both the separated culture medium and the harvested algae biomass were successfully reused in separate systems to cultivate fresh algae, which indicated the non-toxic effect of the coagulants on both the culture medium and the algae harvested biomass. As part of the responses to the need to improve the process economy and efficiency of microalgae biomass harvesting procedure, we evaluated the fruit seed extract of Margariteria desponia, whose phytochemical composition is rich in saponin, as a green and eco-friendly biocoagulant. Considering the structural framework of the active coagulating fraction, which we previously identified as the galactomana, and the high saponin is a biosulfate content, we postulated that the agglomeration of microalgae cells can be induced by the active coagulating species, while the biosulfate act as a frontal for the biomass global rotation, as shown in figure 12. The crude fruit seed extract of Margariteria desponia effectively served as primary coagulant for the harvesting of the invasive microalgae colony sample from a eutrophication system. Despite the expediency of the coagulation fluxation method in microalgae harvesting, the interference of coagulants with the chemical composition and functionality of the biomass is an issue of concern. Therefore, we established the nexus between the harvesting coagulants and the biomass nutrient assemblage in sustainable agricultural practice. Abiola et al. 2023. Eutrophication control and management. One of the serious consequences of eutrophication is the harmful algae bloom, which pose serious threat to aquatic life, human health, fish industry, local tourism, and water quality. In order to develop a sustainable bloom removal strategy, the active coagulating fraction of Moringa oleifera species was used to modify local soils for the population of cyanobacterial flow, Oladoja and PAN 2015. The role of charge neutralization as the mechanism of the microalgae removal was confirmed by the zeta potential determination. Water hyacinth on the area crassidius is a free-floating perennial aquatic plant that is capable of doubling its volume within few weeks. It has been described as one of the world's worst invasive weeds, as shown in Figure 13 in the screen. Among the two principal components of nutrient that support eutrophication, phosphorus has been identified as the limiting nutrient for primary production and the driver of the ecological deterioration. Consequently, efforts to mitigate the release of sedimental phosphorus is gaining more attention because the enrichment of mobile phosphorus in sediment has been identified as the most important factors for the delay of water quality improvement after external phosphorus load reduction. Among the approaches developed to reduce the release flux of nutrients from sediment in situ physical adsorption, known as sediment capping, promotes geochemical conditions that increase the net sink function of sediment by enhancing phosphorus sedimentation rate or decrease phosphorus release rate. Gastropod shell, a volcanic waste material predominated with calcium mineral base, was assessed as a sediment capping agent in big precipice dome system. The gastropod shell amended sediment trapped the sedimented phosphorus and precluded the release into the overlying water phase. A microcosm field driver that is shown in Figure 21, we see that the gastropod shell amended sediment mitigated the exchanging flux of sedimented phosphorus, which led to the death of big precipice within 24 days, as shown in Figure 21. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, an overview of my research voyage shows that the principle of benign chemistry, which focused on the use of chemistry for improved environmental performance and primary pollution prevention instead of remediation, has been the forefront of my research. Guided by this principle, I have developed an array of appropriate technologies and processes for water and wastewater treatment needs. A. Environmental intervention chemistry. 1. Using the principle of surface and material chemistry, substitute to the conventional filter and photoactive materials for water and wastewater treatment were produced, characterized, and applied at both laboratory and field scales. 2. The principle of coverage chemistry was deployed to improve the process of coagulation population, develop substitute to the conventional coagulants and coagulant aids, and then the types of misconceptions of some underlying scientific principles of this unit operation. B. Aquatic ecological engineering. The principle of geoengineering was employed for the restoration of harmful algae-infested lake systems. 2. A sediment capping system was developed using a volcanic waste material in water hyacinth flow system. C. Resource recovery from wastewater. Using the principle of circular economy, the gap in the non-renewable phosphorus cycle was bridged. 2. The preparation and characterization of biocoagulants from biogenic material for improved overall process economy of microalgae biomass harvesting. 3. The nexus between the coagulants used for the microalgae biomass harvesting and the nutrient profile was established. 4. The zero waste discharge aquaculture operation system has been created. Recommendation. In order to leverage on the benefits of benign chemistry, the following recommendations are postulated to ensure that the SDG 6.1 and the other associated SDGs are met. 1. Since benign chemistry is an emerging field of chemistry, a repurpose of our science curriculum at all levels of educational systems is required to include the teaching and practice of chemistry from the benign approach. 2. There's a need to reorientate researchers and practicing scientists on the need to focus on green approach. 3. Special funding should also be dedicated to the support of research efforts that focused on benign chemistry. 4. Mass mobilization is equally required on the need for the use of existing appropriate technologies for water treatment. And 5. Renewed research and development strategies on the existing appropriate technologies are required to make it more robust and adaptable to the emerging challenges. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all glory be to Him that created man from mud, molded into shape, and the progeny from a quintessence of blue. I owe whatever I have been, and will be, to His grace and mercy. I am fortunate to be a product of a loving and caring parents whose unwavering commitments to education gave me no choice than to be properly educated. My mother, who I lost in life, made me realize that education is a right and not a privilege. The regular tutoring she gave me during my pre-primary and primary school days provided a very sound foundation and made reading a habit for me till date. My father, whose unparalleled dedication, love and sacrifice for his children, neither body deterred him from instilling discipline as at 20, imprinted in me the conviction that education is a liberator. I believe Allah to grant them a general freedom. I appreciate my sisters and their partners for our oneness, sacrifice, and believe in me as a worthy elder brother. Your children are always delighted to share their academic progress with me. Have remained blessings to the family. I appreciate the Vice Chancellor, Professor Nurudeen and his wife, Chief Mrs. Ide, for their support and encouragement. My decision to succumb to the pressure of inaugural lecture presentation was solely wanted. Thank you, sir. Two former Vice Chancellor of AAUA, Professor Miniko, who consistently supported our research endeavors, celebrated our research and encouraged us to aim higher, and Professor Ibekele Ajibefun, who enabled my direct appointment from the position of a senior lecturer to the position of a professor in the year 2015 at Berkeley. I acknowledge the encouragement and support of the two DVCs, Professor Sylvia Ramoda and Professor Evi Akimumi, all the principal officers of the university, the registrar, Mr. Aro Arajibu, the bursar, Mr. A.T. Orino, and the librarian, Dr. Diwa Oronfemi, made my experience in the university administration enjoyable. The unity of purpose among the dean, which include the Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies, Dean of the Faculties, and Dean Student Affairs, made my tenure gratifying as the Dean of Science. Using Professor O. Adekowale and Professor F. Oyebade as points of contact to all my senior colleagues and distinguished members of Senate of AAUA, I express my gratitude for your show of love and support. The support received from the heads of department and units across the university are treasured. I pray for the repose of the soul of late Professor C. Abiola, who encouraged and ensured I joined services of AAU in the year 2004 and reinforced my desire to step into the international stage as a postdoctoral fellow in the year 2009. The progressive foundation you laid at the faculty Faculty of Science and the Department of Chemical Sciences has continued to blossom without any doubt. The Faculty of Science, AAUA, is a sure place for an aspiring scientist to start and grow. The trademark of excellence, sown by our founding father, has been the bedrock of our enviable growth. The past and present leadership of the faculty, ably represented by the deans, the distinguished professors, the heads of the department and units, are greatly appreciated for their dedication to the faculty. I wish to specially appreciate all the academic, technical, administrative, and other support staff of the faculty for the great support I have enjoyed from you all. Your belief in my leadership is appreciated and not taken for granted. I owe all members of the Department of Chemical Sciences a debt of gratitude. My students in the Department of Chemical Sciences and Science Education and the entire Faculty of Science are highly appreciated for their support. Our efforts in transiting our idea to reality in the laboratory is an expensive venture that has been generously supported locally. AAUA Research Grant 2010 and 2014, nationally, TED Fund IBR 2017 and NRA 2022, and internationally, International Foundation of Science Sweden 2008 and 2012, the World Academy of Science Italy 2008, Chinese Academy of Science Beijing China 2008, 2019 and 2025. The University of Science Malaysia, BENIGN, Malaysia 2010, Alexander von Humboldt Research Foundation, Germany 2013 to 2015, 2016 and 2023. The Commonwealth 2017, Cambridge Abiola, United Kingdom 2019 to 2021. British Ecological Society, United Kingdom 2021 to 2023. And Alliance of International Science Organization in China 2023 to 2023. Your continuous support is considered inestimable and appreciated. My journey in the academia has been made eventful and admirable by the magnanimity of notable teachers and pathfinders. I fondly recall my teachers at both primary and secondary schools, especially my principal at Methodist Grammar School, Megras, Igboora, late Mr. Oladoja, who ingrained discipline, forthrightness, and dedication to duties in our heart with his exemplary life, the motto of our alma mater, in service for the best, and our school anthem. My lecturers at the University of Lagos are highly valued for their immense contribution to my growth. I remain grateful to late Professor Mr. Busari, who supervised my PhD project. I was also lucky to tap from the rich chemistry experience of the academic staff in the Department of Chemistry, University of BENIGN, where I studied for my MSc and PhD. Late Dr. J.D. Ajayi supervised my MSc project, and Professor C.M.A. Ademuruchi, who supervised my PhD, molded me into an ever-inquisitive researcher. Professor Epi Okene played the singular role of an enrollment. Myself and my cousin, Professor Epi Akelapi, study here today in the postgraduate program of the Department of Chemistry, University of BENIGN. His continuous mentoring, support, and pride in us have provided leverage for our career growth. Professor E.T. Akintayo, Department of Chemistry, EXU, State University, who ensured my entry into the prestigious Alexander von Humboldt family. The grace of the Almighty will continue to be upon you and your family. Professor J. Obuwale, former Vice Chancellor of Owen University, and his family are highly appreciated. Professor Aida Jide, Department of Chemistry, Federal University of Technology, Akure, has always been a father in the academy. The cordial relationship with our senior colleagues and peers at the Department of Chemistry, Federal University of Technology, Akure, have been invaluable. I appreciate the support of my local, national, and international research collaborators, which include Professor Gangpan, Research Center for Eco-Environmental Sciences, Beijing, China, and Nottingham Trent University, United Kingdom. Professor Abdul Latif Ahmad, University of Science, Malaysia. Professor B. Amrish and Professor J. Trolls, Technical University of Munich, Germany. Professor S. Hoffman, University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. Dr. Samson Akoto, Loughborough University, United Kingdom. Professor Ajit Sharma, University of Auckland, New Zealand. Dr. Wang Research Center for Eco-Environmental Science, China. Dr. Ni Yudong, Chongqing Technology and Business University, China. Dr. J. Ali, ASU Institute of Technology, Germany, and a host of others. The support of our technical partners, Pascal Scientific Limited, Akure, and Josie Instruments Limited, Ibadan, are highly appreciated. My experience at the Department of Polymer Technology, Auchi Polytechnic, is pivotal to my strict adherence to rules and regulations. The friendships of many distinguished members of the Polytechnic are appreciated. I appreciate my classmates at secondary school, undergraduate and postgraduate, for your unalloyed support, seeing me as your pride, and for always providing a relief of our developmental year on our social media platform. The academic ambassadors of the Placesetter State in AAUA, ably coordinated by Dr. S. Abiola, are greatly appreciated for their invaluable support and encouragement. With a healthy heart, I appreciate three people whose contributions to my career trajectory are immeasurable, but who the Almighty in His infinite mercy did not permit to witness this day. Dr. Galip Ayu-Akalabi, my uncle, the partner of documentary UNIBEN, who purchased the form and facilitated my admission into UNIBEN postgraduate program and strongly supported with pride my aspiration all the way until March 2022. Professor A.E. Ofomaja, Val University of Technology, South Africa, a formidable research collaborator and a great friend, who transited to the great beyond in the year 2020. Professor Inaugural, the Director, African Center of Excellence for Water and Environmental Research, Water, Redeemers University, Nigeria, a friend and a brother. Despite the agony of being on the sick bed, he read the draft of this lecture and made useful suggestions. May the Almighty grant each of them eternal rest and comfort their families. The entire members of the Dean's Office, Faculty of Science, are appreciated for their dedication and support for my leadership. The Muslim community, AAUA, is highly appreciated for their prayers and support. The entire Muslim students, AAUA, are also appreciated. I recognize and appreciate the support of the Muslim community within and outside Akoko land, and the great Islamic scholars present here today. I have been fortunate to tutor and mentor the best set of students within and outside the country. The feats showcased today are mainly the products of your sweat, passion, imagination, innovation, and grinding sessions in the laboratory. I so much appreciate your unrivaled dedication to duties, support, and confidence in me. I especially recognize and thank all the members of my inaugural lecture committee, ably chaired by Professor A.A. for the important rules and support they offer to ensure the success of this event. I wish to specially appreciate Professor A.E. Belamosi, Professor Benson O. Igboin, Professor A.A. Ololabi, and Professor A. Olonishaki for providing critical assessment and valuable opinions on this presentation. The members of staff of the IPPRU, ISTAF, Security and Works and Services are appreciated for their support. From the day of my youth, I have been blessed with wonderful friends that have helped to propel my growth, and the majority of them are seated here today. You are all greatly appreciated. The family of His Royal Highness, Sir Barrister Alabi, seated here, the Olosi of Osi-Ekiti, and the Honorary Lady Dora Alabi, who has been in local parental status with my family, has been great supporter and believer in my aspiration. The matriarch of the family, late Olori Janet Alabi, Mama, single-handedly nurtured my children as toddlers. May the Almighty continue to grant her eternal rest. To the glory of God, and I am an offspring of two illustrious families, Oladoja and Aleshimatu, from the twin capital of the world, Iguora, Ibarapa Central Local Government Area, Oyo State. That is incontrovertible. The love and care the members of these families have for me can be attested to by their presence here today. Despite the distance from their respective places of abode within and outside Nigeria, I am immensely grateful for the prayers and sacrifice of our progenitors, which we, the offspring, now take for granted and see as our birthright. To all our departed progenitors, I beseech Allah to grant them eternal freedom. To we, the progenitors, may Allah continue to bless and protect us. The family of Alhaji and Alhaja Suleiman Alatishope is highly appreciated. My great uncles and their family, Alhaji and Alhaja Gafar Agelabi and Mr. and Mrs. Ahmed Agelabi, are forever appreciated. The entire family of late Pa Ari Ebadan of Usogodo, Ewu, Esa Central Local Government Area is appreciated. Not just for giving me my adorable wife, but for total acceptance as a member of the Ebadan family. My wife's siblings and their families are all appreciated for always being there. Our amiable mommy, Mama Stella Ebadan, she's here, who always value our presence in the house, is forever appreciated for our effort to always get the family together in love, peace, and unity. May the Almighty continue to protect and preserve you for us in good health. My lovely and adorable children, Olabiji, Odunayo, Teniola, Liniola, and Tobiola, whose friendship and love has made my house a home. My friend, sister, cheerleader, and a replacement for what I lost in January 1985. Dr. Idobekeme Pepeshoaye Oladoja ni Ebadan. I salute your courage, doggedness, and commitment to our family and my dream. She has kept the home front intact, despite my frequent absence from home. She's a strong believer in my dream and aspiration. I salute and adore you. To the most beneficent and the most merciful, I say, Alhamdulillah, Kaseera.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just listened to the 39th inaugural lecture of our university titled The Chemistry Beat, Harnessing Benign Reactions for Water Purification. It was delivered by Professor Nurudeen Abiola Oladoja. Let's give him a good hand. Prof, I'd like to say, did well. But there are so many things that were not part of our rehearsal. That was why the other day when I told Mr. Vice Chancellor that when the inaugural lecturer stands here, there is always the spirit. And I think that spirit was actually on Professor Oladoja. Please put your hands together for him. Let me now invite to the microphone once again the chairman of this occasion, Professor BENIGN, for his closing remarks. Mr. Vice Chancellor. Please let's welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just listened to the 39th inaugural lecture of our university. Delivered by Professor Nurudeen, Oladoja. You will agree with me that we have just listened to an inaugural lecture. When you are good, you are good. There are two ways to it. Professor Oladoja is an accomplished academic. I'm not sure there is any academic staff in this university that has matched his elevation after today. The first time in the history of our university was promoted from the position of a senior lecturer to professor. Before him, none. After him, none. James Harvey said, the gold fish has no hiding place. That is the golden fish of our university. I went to attend a conference in Switzerland. I introduced myself as the Vice Chancellor of the PURIFICATION University. After the conference, one of the organizers of the conference approached me and asked whether I know one Professor Oladoja. And I said, it's my name, Faculty of Science. He said, and I'm telling him now for the first time, that he narrowly missed to become fellow of Academy of Science last year. And I said, why? And he gave me reasons. Stayed through the first, stayed through the second, stayed through the third, the fourth, the fifth, remaining only two to be pronounced. And person that was pronounced as a fellow had only 1 point ahead of him. Today, we have been having a fellow of Academy of Science in our university. But I know that it's going to be it this year. Professor Oladoja is making waves in the Faculty of Science. It's leading by example. Several of our lecturers have been fantastic in that faculty. Several of them are following his footsteps. When the citation was being read, we had over 115 publications. 115 publications to be a professor. That is huge. It's huge. So, Professor Oladoja, I appreciate you on behalf of the university. Thank you for bringing our university to the international level, global recognition. He has thanked his wife, Dr. Mrs. I.P. Oladoja. Let me also let him to appreciate you. Part of the fact that is very close to me. I met you for the first time yesterday. Thank you for taking care of it. Thank you. Lariji Oladoja. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Oladoja, Teni Ola. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Oladoja, Nini Ola. Thank you. And Oladoja, Toby, you are all appreciated. Salako, Zip Badrat, thank you. Professor Abiola Akelabi, Rector, Oyo State College of Agriculture and Technology, thank you, God. Thank you for coming. Mrs. Stella Adam, mother-in-law, wife, mother of the wife. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming. Oladoja said the wife's family is from Ewu in Edo State. So I greet you, man, for the eye. This is Ope Kadirat. This is Ope Kadirat. Thank you for coming. Haji Gafari Akelabi, father, thank you for coming. Thank you. Chief Beniza Ebingo Petroleum, who is always here with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. Let me recognize the presence here of the Secretary to the State Government of the State, Professor Habibat Atubiaro. Thank you for coming. Thank you, ma'am. Very much. Our regards to Mr. Governor of the State. Mr. Ogulewa Masiu, Special Assistant Secretary to the State Government of the State. Thank you for coming. And Mr. Elijah Ario, Chief Security Detail. Thank you for coming. Let me especially recognize His Royal Majesty Oba Sir Adegboyega Alabi, the Olosi of Osieke. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Alice. Olori Dora Alabi, Olori Olosi of Osieke. Thank you, Olori. I want to recognize the presence of the following religious leaders who have come here to witness this important event in our university. Sheikh Nurudeen, Chief Imam, Koile. Thank you, sir. Thank you, your welcome, sir. Sheikh Yakub Said, Chief Imam, Saludin, Ikare. Thank you, sir. Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abdul Hamid, thank you for coming. Sheikh Dr. Lukman Idris Shekoni, thank you, sir. Abdul Hamid Amma, also here, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Sheikh Abubakar Issa, also here, thank you for coming. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Afa Balukun Latif, also here. Thank you very much. We have in our midst Haji Adiu Tella. Haji Adiu Tella. Thank you, Oladoja. Thank you. Dr. Muslim Aminu, the Chief Imam, AAUA. Thank you for coming, Chief Imam. Professor Hassan, why should your name be in Professor L.B. Hassan, AAUA, thank you. Alhaji and Alhaja Musili Akinabi, thank you very, very much for coming. Let me also say that I have a name too, similar to all these that I have mentioned. Professor Hassan, yes, I said I have a name that is also similar to this. Please, can you help me tell them? Said my own name is Musa. Thank you. You want to know the name of my wife? You want to know the name of my wife? Ramat. Let me appreciate the Vice Chancellor of St. Mary's University, Professor Oren, who is also here. Dr. John Imam from Precious Cornerstone University. Precious Cornerstone University. Here. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Mrs. Thank you. Professor E.F. Olasende, Federal University of Technology. Thank you for coming. Professor Ademola Ayesomi, Federal University of Technology. Thank you for coming. Please, a round of applause for Professor Ademola, Professor A.E. Okorombo, Federal University of Technology. Thank you. Professor Isaka Amo, Federal University of Technology. Professor Isaka Amo is also in Shade. Yes, I can see you there. Thank you very much. Professor Albert Adebayo, Federal University of Technology. Thank you. Professor B.I. Aleshi, Federal University of Technology. Thank you. Professor O.S. Adewale, Federal University of Technology. This is great. Thank you for this collaboration. Thank you. Thank you. Professor Mrs. M.F. Ashaolu, Ekiti State University. That is it. All right. Professor S.A. Olabaye Olagoye, Ekiti State University. Thank you for coming. This is I.B. Obamuyi, Federal University of Technology. Thank you for coming. Dr. O.A. Madamilola. from Federal University of Technology, thank you for coming. Dr. E.B. Ajuto, Federal University of Technology, thank you very much for coming. Dr. Oshuolale, Federal University of Technology, thank you for coming. Dr. Ram Gabriel, Federal University of Technology, thank you for coming. Dr. Mrs. Owolafe, Federal University of Technology, this is great. Shows that the kind of networking that Professor Oladoja engaged with. I want to thank all of you, all our members of staff, using former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Yebade, and Professor Mrs. Adibowale as point of contact. Thank you very much for coming, ma'am. Let me use Professor Akinowo, the point of contact to all other distinguished professors. They are present. Thank you very much. We appreciate your coming. Let me use the acting head of the department, Politica, Dr. Iwu, and the point of contact to all other heads of the department that they are present. And Mrs. Eddie Arawiwo, Deputy Registrar, Administration as the point of contact to all other members of staff in this hall. I thank all Faculty of Science for supporting the game, and particularly the Department of Chemical Sciences. I feel that they are in a very different uniform, but unfortunately they didn't send one to the Vice Chancellor. I'm telling that send one to the office of the Vice Chancellor. Let me also recognize my wife, Chief Mrs. Let me welcome you back. Thank you very much. Obola, yes, you are recognized. Greatest Nigerian students, I thank you all. The next inaugural lecturer is Professor Mrs. Victoria Ikelomo Olubeni, HOD International. Where is she? Yes. That will be the 40th inaugural lecture, May 27, 2025. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And I want to thank specifically all other members of the family of Professor Oladoja who attended this inaugural lecture all the way from Ibora today. Thank you. Wish you safe journey back to your various destination. God bless you. Thank you all.
Please, shall we put our hands together for our Vice Chancellor? Please don't leave the hall yet. Don't leave the hall yet, please. The program is not yet over. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to inform you all that we have come to the end of this inaugural lecture. And on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I want to thank all of you for making this program part of your day. Can we all now rise for AAUA anthem and national anthem? all remain standing while the Vice Chancellor procession will leave the hall in reverse order. Thank you.